الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Today, inshallah, we'll talk about the definition of a Salaf al-Salih. Yesterday, I was telling you how this ummah divided after the Prophet ﷺ's death and after the Sahaba radiallahu anhum start vanishing and passing away, and also the older of the Tabi'een, also their number start decreasing. There are so many ideas and ideologies and way of understanding the textual evidence in Quran and Sunnah appear. Sometimes related to certain subjects, sometimes related to the whole entire religion. For instance, a group of people came to say, we don't accept the Sunnah, we only accept the Quran. That's a methodology of dealing with the Sharia. Or they said, whenever a Sunnah contradict Al-Quran, immediately we cancel the Sunnah. Even if it doesn't really contradict it, if it appear like as if it is contradiction. Like for instance, they said, Al-Quran says, pray, أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا. In Surah Al-Isra, perform the Salat لدلوك الشمس in the time of Dhuhr, إلى غسق الليل in the time when the Maghrib time comes, and when the night comes, and Fajr. So it said Al-Quran telling us 3 times a day. As-Sunnah saying 5 times a day. You know what? We cancel the Sunnah. They said this is a contradiction. You see? So they said in this case, we just drop the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Al-Quran said, for example, if you commit any sin, you go to hellfire for eternal. وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَإِنَّ لَهُ نَارَ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدًا فِيهَا. Whoever disobey Allah or His Messenger, he deserve or he will be punished in the hellfire forever. They take this verse and that's it. They leave everything else. Okay, what about the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said that prayers people will enter Jannah, then later they will be taken out from it. There is intercession, shafa'ah, all these things. Drop it. Contradicting Al-Quran. When Ali radiallahu anhu and Muawiyah agree that they will have hakam, arbitrators, to judge between them, what Al-Khawarij did, they came out with the Quran saying, Allah saying, in al-hukmu illa lillah, Allah is the only judge, and His judgment is the only judgment. So you accepting somebody else to judge between you, you are kuffar. And they became over 10,000 people just accepted this crazy idea. And they separated themselves from the Muslim Ummah. They crossed the river of Furat and they stayed there in a small town it's called Harawra. And that's it. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh asked Ali to give him a chance to debate them before he fight them. Because Ali radiallahu anh and his army used to go in the night to sleep. And they see across the river those people making qiyam al-layl and crying and making dua and crying the whole night. Individuals or groups making qiyam al-layl. And Ali radiallahu anh, his people, they just normal, they go to bed, pray sometimes. But those people fasting in the days and praying in the nights and making dua and crying, very righteous. So for them and Muslims, and they say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, for them to fight such people is hard. So Ali radiallahu anhu was not confused. He said, no, those the people the Prophet ﷺ told us that if we see them, we must kill them, we must fight them. They are extremists. And if we don't do that, they will fight us, they will hurt us. The Sahaba doubted that. They thought maybe it's a political motivation. Ali had something, you know. Yeah, we don't know. You know, maybe it's ego. There is some kind of hesitation because how they appear. Then Ali reminded them that the Prophet said, when you see them and you will compare your prayer to their prayer, your prayer will seem to be nothing. And your siyam to their siyam, your siyam will appear to be nothing. And that's how so many young men and women will be deceived by the look or some of the practice or some of the righteousness that some people try to show it, that they are righteous, that they are this attached to the dunya, that they are this. They take some part of the deen and they emphasize on it so much. Anyway, Ibn Abbas went to them. When he went to debate them, the first thing he started the debate with, and it's a great debate, I think you guys should look, because it's a very long, we're not going to mention it, but I think you should look it up. It's a very interesting debate. He went there and he started by saying this. He said, looking at the crowd, then he said, I just came from there, and there is so many of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ companions where I came from, and I didn't see any one of them with you. There is none of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ companions with you. In another word, none of them understood from the Quran what you have understood. None of them have came to the same conclusion that you have came to. وَإِنِّي لَا أَرَى مِنْهُمْ أَحَدًا مَعَكُمْ. I don't see any one of them with you. So the first point that he raised, that their methodology is away from the methodology of as-Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. Another incident where Abu Musa al-Ash'ari came knocking the door of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in Kufa in Iraq, saying, Ya Aba Abdul Rahman, I have seen things in the masjid of Kufa, the main masjid of Kufa. Don't worry, it is something good. It looks good, but I don't know. I think it's not. قال ما رأيت إلا خيرا. But I don't know. I need to ask you first and see how the Sahaba respect each other. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari is a great Sahabi, but Ibn Mas'ud is mufti, is a scholar, higher level. So they respect it, they consult each other, they work together. So he said, what you have seen? He said, I saw a group of people in a big circle. And there is one guy in the middle, have a big amount or a lot of stones, small stones. And what he say Subhanallah 100 times. And all of them together in one voice, collectively. Subhanallah. When they count how many tasbih, 100 times tasbih, 100 takbir. They're making dhikr jama'i, collective dhikr. They do it collectively, together, in one voice. Like some people doing this today. So Ibn Mas'ud approached them and he told them immediately, قال إما أنكم سبقتم أصحاب محمد فضلا أو أنكم مفتتحوا باب ضلالة. Either you think yourself better than Muhammad's companions, or you are starting innovations and misguiding, or you are starting innovation or misguiding people. You're going to misguide people. Why he mentioned again the Muhammad companions? Because none of the companions of the Prophet have understood from all these ahadith, narrations, on these verses, which is say, make dhikr, all believers make dhikr. Nobody understood from all believers, it means that we come together in a group and we start saying, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. None of them understood that. Because they saw how the Prophet ﷺ applied this ayah. And how the Prophet told them how to practice it. So he said, this way of understanding the concept of dhikr, it is an innovation. It's not the way of the Prophet ﷺ companions. The same thing happened with Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu also. And you will find several incidents like this. One more, so it would be witr. The first incident of Ibn Abbas, reported by Lalaka'i in his book Sharh Usul al-Sunnah. And the second incident, reported by Ad-Darimi, and it's also another authentic narration, and Ibn Waddah fi al-Bida', with a very authentic chain of narration. And this third one reported by Ibn Battah in his book Al-Ibanah Al-Kubra. That Ibn Zubayr, which is Mus'ab ibn Zubayr, his father sent him to Iraq to be the leader of Iraq. He used to go to Iraq. He said, I found in Iraq people have different ideas, new ideas about religion. And mainly this idea was related to the concept of qadar, of al-qadar, the predestined. He said, I start debating with them by using the verses in Quran. I bring verse, they bring another verse. I use one ayah, they use another ayah. Then I start debating them with the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And he said, we debate. I bring a verse from Quran, text from the hadith. They reply with another one. Then he asked his father, how can I deal with this? Then he told him, Ya bunay, إذا ناظرتهم فناظرهم بسنن أبي بكر وعمر. When you debate them, make sure that you debate them with the sunan. Sunnah, it means the way. The way of Abu Bakr and Umar. The way of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. How they understood these verses. It was very important for this religion to be understood correctly and to be observed correctly, and people have correct understanding of the religion, that they see in front of them a practical example of people understood the religion and practiced the religion. Otherwise, the religion will not be anything different from a philosophical theory. You know philosophers? They have theories, they have beautiful theories, but they were never able to make people apply it and live it. That's why all those philosophers living in that high place, and there is no people around them. And the prophets were always in the middle of the crowd. And that's one of the major difference between what the prophets came with and what the philosophers offered humanity. It's a theory. It's a theoretical thing. To make people to practice it, to make people live it, something else. And in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his religion was a very practical religion. Whatever ideologies he came with, he made people practicing it. So it's very important for you to see that. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِنَّهُ مَنْ يَعِشْ مِنْكُمْ فَسَيَرَى اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Whomever will live among you, he will see a lot of what? اختلاف, differences, divisions, sects, groups. And this hadith al-Irbad ibn Sariya, reported by Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. Then what is the solution? How can I save myself? قال فعليكم بسنتي. Hold to my sunnah, my way. وسنة الخلفاء الراشدين المهديين من بعدي. And the sunnah of al-khulafa الراشدين. Al-Khulafa, the single of Khulafa, what? Khalifa. What Khalifa means? The one who take a place of somebody else. That's right? Khalifa, somebody take a place of somebody else. That's right? Can we say Adam Khalifatullah in the earth? Can we say that? Adam take Allah's place in the earth? Yeah, I will make in the earth Khalifa, Allah said. But Khalifa, that means he will take Allah's place on earth?
No, implementing his rules.
That's why it's not right to say Adam is Allah's Khalifa. Allah is the Khalifa of everybody. Allah take your place, He can take care of whatever you do. But you cannot take care of what Allah is doing. I will make Khalifa on earth. It means, I will make generations that they take place of one another. When somebody dies, somebody else will take his place. That's what إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. I will put Khalifa on earth. That means generation will come after generation. Anyway, so the Prophet ﷺ said, hold to the sunnah of the Khalifa. What is the Prophet ﷺ's role in the Ummah? It is a political role only as a leader, a president, a governor, a king, whatever you want to call it. Has a political role? Bazigha? Has a political role? Asma? Salma? Huh? Yes, absolutely. He has a political role. Also, teacher. Teaching what? He come to teach us physics and math and medicine? Huh? Deen, religion. So he was a religious figure and a political figure in the same times. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's right. He's the leader, he's the Amir of the Mu'mineen, and at the same time he is the Mufti, the Qadi, the judge, the scholars who teaching them. Okay? So in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's role in Ummah will be represented by who? By the scholars and the leaders. If the leaders are scholars, so their representation will be complete. More than a leader who doesn't have a knowledge, and more than a knowledgeable person who is not in a leadership position. That's right. That's why Al-Khulafa Al-Rashidin absolutely 100% appear in who? Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali. And also appear in the way of Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhum wa ardahum, Usama ibn Zayd ibn Thabit, because they were scholars. Even though they don't have a political position, they were not leaders. So that's why when the Prophet ﷺ said the sunnah of my khulafa, we cannot restrict this only to Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali. Yes, absolutely appear clearly in those four, but it has to be expanded to accommodate all the scholars among the Sahaba and all the political figures and leaders among the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum wa ardahum. Is that clear? Is that clear? So, in another word, my khulafa whom? My companions. And you hold to the way and the sunnah of my companions. Whenever you see division, when these sects will start to appear, when people coming up with their ideologies, we have to hold to something, to follow something, which is the way of his companions. Shama, do you agree with what I'm saying? Huh? طيب. If I ask you a question, so basically, Shama, you're saying that in order for this religion to preserve, to be able to, so we can be able to practice it, to understand it right, we have to have three things: Al-Quran and the Sunnah and the way of the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how they understood this textual evidence. That's right? Okay. So Al-Quran or Sunnah is not sufficient for you? We have to add to it one more thing?
It's not adding to it.
Excellent. It's part of it. Who told us that we need to look into the way of the Sahaba? Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. As you will see now. Al-Quran and Sunnah order us to do that. Exactly as Al-Quran and Sunnah order us to go to the scholar to ask them when we don't know, when we don't have a knowledge. If you didn't know what's the rule, what to do? Just open the Quran and see whatever you want? No, you go ask the scholars. طيب. That's why it is very important for us to know what is the way of those Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and those who follow their footsteps, who differentiate themselves from the rest of these invented ways and groups and sects appeared in the Muslims history. And this is something you will see it clearly next class, inshallah, talking about history of sects or history of groups in Islam. طيب. The author here talk about the definition of a Salaf al-Salih, Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah, which is he used it so often. As-Salaf comes from the word Salafa, and it means those who came earlier. You can see that in page 67, the linguistic definition. طيب. Precedence or someone who came earlier. Who's the earlier people in Islam? The companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are the Salaf. That's why to define as Salaf, there is a difference of opinions about how to define as Salaf. Even among sometimes the scholars of the madhahib. Yani the Hanafi will define as Salaf from the companions of the Prophet ﷺ all the way to Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Shaybani. Yani one, I would say, I'm not sure now, but it's like 180 Hijri, something like that. Some people said as Salaf, like the Hanabila said, it's all the way until Imam Ahmad's time. You will see some of the Shafi'iyya even extended to the 4th century or something like that. And you will see others said as-Salaf as-Sahaba radiallahu anhum only. And Abu Hamid al-Ghazali have mentioned that. And al-Hafiz al-Ala'i أيضا. They said as-Sahaba only. You will see some said as-Salaf al-Sahaba and the Tabi'een, the first and second generation. Some said the first, the second, the third generation. Some said as-Salaf are those whomever came before us and they follow the footsteps of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. What I would like to say that as-Salaf as-Salih apply 100% to the Sahaba. And the word as-Salaf, in my opinion, should be restricted to the Sahaba only, because they are ahead of everybody else, and everybody else follow their footsteps. We can say that التابعين سلف, أتباع التابعين سلف, Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim, al-Shafi'i, Ahmad, Malik, Abu Muhammad ibn Hasan al-Shaybani are Salaf because they came before us and we follow their footsteps. But those people also follow the Sahaba's footsteps. So that terminology apply 100% right to the Sahaba. And as-Sahaba are different than any others. The companions of the Prophet ﷺ, completely different from any other groups. Who can tell me some of the differences between the Sahaba and any other people?
others, we have a promise.
They've been promised, some of them promised Jannah. طيب, what else?
The Prophet ﷺ was with them in their presence.
They witnesses the Prophet ﷺ. They were in the prison of the Prophet ﷺ. So they know 100% what the Prophet ﷺ meant by that, how the Prophet apply that, practice that. You see what I'm saying? What else? For example, As-Sahaba, when the Sahabi said anything about the unseen, and this Sahabi, we know that he's not one of those who's read or studied the book of the people of the book. He doesn't narrate their narrations. Immediately, his statement about the unseen will be taking the same rule of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if Ibn Abbas said that Al-Kursi is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put his feet on, we immediately know that Ibn Abbas will not say this from his own. It's something he heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When one of the Sahaba said that this will happen in the Day of Judgment, we know that this is something he heard from. If the Tabi'i said that, we don't accept it. If the Tabi'i said that, we don't accept it. Also, as Al-Iraqi said, any Sahabi said anything related to the reason of revealing this verse, Sabab al-Nuzul, why this verse was revealed in regard to this incident, immediately we know this is take the same rule of hadith, as if the Prophet ﷺ said that. This doesn't apply to anybody else. 2, As-Sahaba, all of them trustworthy. We don't investigate if he's trustworthy or not, he's good, the memory or not, but we do this with everybody else. With everybody else. That differentiate the Sahaba from the rest of the Ummah. Also the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they are the most familiar people with the language and the culture of the language. Because as you know, every language has its own culture. That's right. So I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with what it means. Like if you bring somebody know English or learn English in Egypt, or learn English in Pakistan or in India or in Bangladesh or in Turkey, and you bring him to America. He never been exposed to the American culture, and he start listening to the American dialogue. He's going to be lost. Because some terminology is not familiar with the culture of the language. This is something normal. Same thing, go to London, to Paris, even if you know the language. But if you're not familiar with the culture of the language, you will be lost. That's why we need the Sahaba so much, because they are the one who familiar with the culture of the language. They know what this exactly means. So this is something differentiate them from the rest of the Ummah. Also, As-Sahaba radiallahu anhum, everybody else, when he start looking into to drive rules, like any faqih, want to drive a rule from this text, he need first to think, is it authentic narration or not? He need to go and think about the usul al-fiqh, the mustalah al-hadith, the abrogated text, it's abrogated or not, and nasikh, wal mansukh, and the Arabic language, and thinking so many things. Then he, after putting all this to work together, start analyzing the text. The Sahaba, they don't need all of this, straight to the text. So they have that ability and capability of going straight to the text and understanding better than anybody else. Also, one thing about the Sahaba, it's very interesting. If any Sahabi made a statement, and this statement became popular, famous, and no other Sahabi opposed him, that will be taken for granted, that statement or that rule. We call this as if it is consensus. And we make, and this is what Abu Hanifa, Malik, al-Shafi, Ahmad said. For the four madhahib, believes that if any Sahabi made a statement and became famous, and no other Sahabi opposed that opinion, or opposed that rule, this rule will, as if there is consensus among the Sahaba about it. But what if Al-Hasan al-Basri made a statement and became popular and nobody opposed it? It will not be ijma'. This is only to the Sahaba radiallahu anhum arda. Also, any Sahabi make anything, even his mistakes will not be called bid'ah. Their actions will not be called, it could be itself, it's a mistake, but we don't call it innovations. For example, no doubt, fighting Ali radiallahu anh is a mistake. But we don't call this an innovation. You see what I'm saying? Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu arda, Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu arda, for instance, he was, for a while, he said, or he used to do, when he make ruku', he will put his two hands in between his thigh. And he will close his thigh in it. That's the way he make the ruku'. He will not put his hand on the knees. He thought that's the way the Prophet ﷺ. We don't call this an innovation. We call it a mistake. No scholars ever said it's innovation, bid'ah. That's why Imam al-Shafi'i said, bid'ah is what the Prophet ﷺ or one of his companions have practiced. The Shafi'i said, the bid'ah is something the Prophet ﷺ, neither one of his companions ever practiced it. So one of the ways to understand bid'ah from not to see if this been practiced by any Sahabi or not. If it's not, it means it's an innovation. But it could be a mistake by the Sahabi. A Sahabi who, for example, committed zina. That's a sin. طيب. Also, one thing about the Sahaba are the one who were able to see the 7 ahruf of the Quran. Did you study ulum al-Quran? Science of Quran? Anybody study science of Quran? Huh? Science of Al-Quran was revealed in 7 different harf, 7 different ways. And this is something only the companions were able to see it and to observe it. But as you know, Uthman radiallahu anh, when this became a reason for confusion in the ummah, Uthman burned all the masahif and kept one text. And he burned the rest of it, the information of it, the knowledge in it, known by the Sahaba, but not anybody else. They taught the companions that. That gave them an advantage over anybody else. Anybody else. Anyway, so that's why I believe as-Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they are the real deal, if we can say that. They are the one who we've been ordered to follow their footsteps. We've never been ordered to follow the tabi'een or the tabi'een. We've been ordered to follow the Sahaba radiallahu anhum wa ardahum. So as-Salaf, it means, it is mainly used to, in the language of the scholars, not to refer to a group. So the word Salafi or the word Salafiyya is not to refer to a group. And it's very important for you to understand this. As-Salaf or As-Salafiyya or As-Salafiyun should not be referring to a group. Whoever used this to refer to individuals or a group of people, he is totally mistaken. Al-Ulama used to refer to As-Salaf or As-Salafiyya or Salafi to refer to a methodology. Yani the way he practiced the religion, the way he understand the religion according to the way of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum wa ardahum. That's why Al-Dhahabi, for instance, when he was talking about the biography of Ad-Daraqutni, he said in the time of, who knows Ad-Daraqutni? Great muhaddith. Great muhaddith. As a book called Sunan and another book called Al-Ilal. And he's one of those rare scholars. He was able even to criticize al-Bukhari in several occasions. So, he's an amazing scholar. Anyway, ad-Daraqutni, in his time, people were too much involved in the debating each other and using the philosophical argument. So al-Dhahabi said, he never involved, Daraqutni, he referred to Daraqutni. Ad-Daraqutni never involved in such philosophical debates. He used to be Salafi. He used to not to follow the philosophical way of understanding the religion. He used to be very simple in taking the religion. He said, whatever Allah described himself with, I take it. Whatever he negate, I will not. I will negate it, and I will not go farther than this. So the ulama use this to refer to the methodology. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. See, the word Sunnah wal Jama'ah also, they have several names. The true followers of Sunnah, or the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they also known as Salaf al-Salih sometimes. They were known as Ahlul Hadith, Ahlul Athar. They were also named Al-Firqatul Najiyah. They were called At-Ta'ifatul Mansura, Al-Ghuraba. And it's interesting, for some period of time, they used to call also Al-Hanabila, in a very short period of time. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Ahl, it means the people of As-Sunnah and the people of Al-Jama'ah. طيب, you can write each one when we talk about it, so if you want to comment on it. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Ahl Sunnah, the people of Sunnah. As you just heard, in the time of Ali radiallahu anh, there is people who break out from Ali radiallahu anh, al-Khawarij. This group sect is called Khawarij. The Muslims were united behind one Imam, the Jama'ah, which it means the group of Muslims, were united after behind, or the Khilafah, been given to whom? To Ali radiallahu anh. Al-Khawarij, they broke out. And they said that this Khalifa is kafir. What's the difference between Al-Khawarij position and Ibn Zubayr and Muawiyah's position? Why we don't say Ibn Muawiyah and Ibn Zubayr broke out also from the Khilafah of Ali radiallahu anh? What's the difference? The difference is that Muawiyah and Ibn Zubayr, they don't have a problem that Ali to be the Khalifa. They said, we don't have a problem. We have not give Ali yet the bay'ah. We have not give him the Pledge of Allegiance. We did not give him the bay'ah. We said, before you became Khalifa, before we decide on that, we must kill the killers of Uthman radiallahu anh. They never called Ali kafir. They never doubt his ability or that he deserved to be the Khalifa. The only thing they were mad or sad or not happy with, that Ali did not start taking or judging or killing those who killed Uthman radiallahu anh. And Ali's position to defend Ali radiallahu anh, he said, in order to do that, you need to have a political system in place. You cannot take, because that's a criminal, that's a crime, need judge, need system exists, that's right. You cannot just go kill like that. And those who killed Uthman, they were not one or two, hundreds involved to know who's exactly deserved to be killed, who exactly deserved to be punished, less than the capital punishment. It takes a while. And those people runs and join Muawiyah and join Ibn Zubayr, and most of them join Ali radiallahu anhu's army. So they were existing everywhere. So Ali's opinion said, let's settle down, let's put the country in order, then after that we go after them. But Muawiyah said, no, I have everything in order. I am in charge of Sham since Umar time. I'm the Khalifa of Sham, the leader of Sham since Umar and Abu and Uthman and the time of Ali came. So this is, we are holding our bay'ah until you do this. So there are different total Khawarij. No, Khawarij said that Muawiyah is kafir. And they fight and start killing the Muslims. So that's why they broke from the Jama'ah. And even earlier than that, in the time of Uthman, when the Khawarij also, who rebelled, the rebels against Uthman, they broke from the Jama'ah of the Ummah. Al-Khawarij also came with another idea, which is whenever the Sunnah contradict the Quran, even if it's just appear to be any kind of contradiction, they drop the Sunnah. But those people pray, those people's name Muhammad or Ahmad or Abdullah, those people memorize the Quran. How to differentiate between them and the rest of the right guided people? They said, we are the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah. Since you guys don't believe in Sunnah and you guys don't believe in Jama'ah, we are the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah. In the same times also, after that, around this time, the Shia came. And they started attacking the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. The word al-Jama'ah, also known as as-Sahaba. You can just replace them. It's a very common use. They call as-Sahaba al-Jama'ah. Because in that time, they are al-Jama'ah. They are the real group. They are the real representative of the Jama'ah, of the Muslims Ummah. So when the Shia start cursing the Sahaba, and the Shia also start saying that our Imams, the 12 Imams that they have, we must follow them. And they are infallible. What's infallible means? Huh? They don't commit sins or mistakes. How can you be infallible? To be what? By Allah. Like the prophets. How Allah protect the prophets? Through wahi. So the 12 Imam receive revelation from Allah. Receive wahi. They are supported and protected by Allah the same manner as the prophets. That's why they believe that the Imam's statement can abrogate the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Why? Because they come from the same source, from Allah. The Imam will not say something from his own. So basically, that's why when you open any book of Shia, like this book size, and you flip it, you're not going to see the Prophet Muhammad said. Very rare. You will see, this Imam said, this Imam said, this Imam said, Abu Abdullah said, Ja'far said, Abu Abdullah. That's all what you see. And they don't have a problem with that because they said those people take their knowledge from the same source. So basically their concentration, they are concentrating on what? And more into the statement of the Imams. On the other hand, the rest of the Ummah, the true follower of Muhammad ﷺ, they take their deen mainly from the Sunnah because it's detailed. So they call it, we are the people of Sunnah and they are the people of Shia al-Bayt because that's what they take their religion from. So that name became popular. And we are the people of the Jama'ah of the Sahaba because those people disassociate themselves from the Sahaba. See? And this name became even more stronger. And Salaf al-Salih been used mainly to differentiate between those who accept the Sahaba and follow their first steps, to differentiate them from al-Mu'tazilah, which is a group of people who invented a new way. Also Ahlul Hadith, Ahlul Athar, the people of Hadith, the people of Athar. In a time, there is a time comes where people start leaving the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ to take from opinions. of some scholars, opinions of some individuals, more than the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So, as a reaction, they call, we are Ahlul Hadith, we are drive the religion, we don't care if this is the opinion of so and so, if it contradicts the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So it became another title that they use against those who take mainly from al-ra'i, from the opinions. So Ahlul Hadith is not referring to the scientists of hadith or the scholars of hadith. It refers to the people who will make hadith Rasulullah ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ's hadith or sunnah, a source of religion. Okay? So a faqih can be called Ahlul Hadith because this faqih drive the rules from hadith. It's not like what you have today in India, for example. Ahlul Hadith refer counterpart with Hanafi. They said in India, Pakistan, always Ahlul Hadith Hanafi. No, the great scholars of Hanafi used in this terminology, they are included because those people who are scholars in Hanafi fiqh, they take the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ as a source of their ruling, to drive rules from it. طيب يعني mainly الفرقة الناجية and الطائفة المنصورة, the group who will be survive, the group who will be victorious. This is the title that the Prophet ﷺ have given to this sect which will follow his footsteps. Also Al-Ghuraba, which is another title the Prophet ﷺ have given. Also known as Al-Hanabila. It's a very short period of time in the time of Imam Ahmad when he debated Al-Mu'tazila. When they said Al-Quran is in one of Allah's creation. Who was the scholar who stand against this? Imam Ahmad. So everybody believing that, they used to call Hanabila, even though if he's Shafi'i or Hanafi or Maliki. They said Hanabila in the belief, not referring to their fiqh school of thought. And it's for a short period of time, and after that the Hanabila will be a common use to refer to those who follow the school of thought of Imam Ahmad's fiqh, the fiqh madhab. If you notice that this terminology, many of them used in a very specific meaning, sometimes for a short period of time, and after that it will be changed. Like the Hanabila, Ahlul Hadith, it might change. And that's the nature of these titles. That's why we not been forced to take these titles. We don't need these titles. Only you need it when there is need for it. And that's how the Ummah used it. But in general, we use the title which is given to us by Allah, Al-Quran, which is Al-Islam, Al-Iman, Al-Ihsan, Al-Taqwa. That's right, As-Sunnah. And we use An-Nifaq for those who leave the straight path, or Al-Kufr, or Al-Shirk, or Al-Bid'ah, to describe their actions. That's why it's very important to understand that the rules of labeling oneself with title, label must have correct meaning, should not be used as basis for associating and disassociating oneself with others, judging others, love and hate or dislike, or praising and criticizing. Yani if somebody said, I'm Salafi, does that mean he's good? No. But if he said, I'm Mu'min, I'm Muslim. Okay, I understand. See the difference between the labels on Quran and Sunnah and the labels which appear later on. That's not in your book. If somebody said, I am AREES, let's say we're going to call this name AREES. Okay? Is that means it's enough to criticize you? No. It's enough to make you good? No. Can I base my love and association on the name. If you're not AREES, I don't care about you. If you're not Tablighi, if you're not Ikhwani, if you're not Salafi, you know what? I don't care about you. If you don't carry this title, we're not friends anymore. Or we are so friends close because we use this terminology. That's not allowed. But if somebody said, you know what, I don't want to call myself Muslim. No, you can't do that. See, that's the difference between labeling oneself with title or not from the Quran and Sunnah. Should not be means to division between the Muslims. Al-Muhajirin is a title or not? Al-Ansar is a title or not? Did the Prophet ﷺ permit the Sahaba to use these titles? Answer me. No? Yes. Allah used these titles. Muhajirin wal Ansar. They used to refer, I'm Muhajiri, I'm Ansari, I'm Ansari, I'm Muhajiri. That's right. It's a common use. But one incident happened. Please just listen to me first. I will let you write this in the break. When one incident happened that they were taking from the well, and one said, all Muhajirin, he said, all Ansar. That title used to divide the Ummah. The Prophet ﷺ said, دعوها فإنها جثى جهنم. That would lead you to the bottom of the hellfire. So when the title, even if it is, if all the rules applied, but I use this title to divide the Ummah, using it will be haram. Using it will be haram in this case. Should only be used when there is a need for it. You just want to use it all the time. Alhamdulillah, I am Waleed al-Athari of Ahlul Hadith. Alhamdulillah, no need for that. But if you ask me, Waleed, what is your school of thoughts and fiqh? I tell you, I'm Hanbali. If you ask me, what is the, you ask somebody, where are you from? Hashim, I'm from Trinidad. Trinidadi. Trini. Okay? I'm a Trini, you know? But if he's, I'm Trini, there's no need to, khalas, I didn't ask you where you're from. Take it easy, buddy. Come on. You know? There's 10 things you need to do to be a Trini. One of it is to say man in every single word. And to use your lips as a sign language. That's right. It's very funny when I went to Trinidad. They want to tell me, what is the gate? She said, go straight, then turn right. I said, what? And that's the professional people, like in the ticketing. She said, I said, what about U-turn? How do you do that? Anyway, let's stop here. But let me finish this first. Okay, unlike the names given in Quran and Sunnah, these names and titles may carry different connotation and meaning from time to time. And that's a very important thing to note. That's why the Asha'ira use the word Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The Asha'ira use the word Salaf. وَكُلُّ خَيْرٍ فِي اتِّبَاعِ مَنْ سَلَفَ وَكُلُّ شَرٍ فِي ابْتِدَاعِ مَنْ خَلَفَ in Jawharat al-Tawheed. Sometimes it can be used from one time to another. You know, Braille, they call themselves Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And they are far away from that. So, it is different. It can be from one time to another. Yeah. As I said, the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, and this is, we talked about that. When we come back, inshallah, we'll talk about the evidence of Quran and Sunnah to show the obligation of following. Do you want to write the previous one? طيب.
Now, when you explain, if a non-Muslim asks you, what's the what is Shia and Sunni? How do you explain that? Do you explain that that it is a sect of Islam because it is a?
It is a sect of Islam.
No, but it's not the correct way. If they believe that the imams have wahi from Allah, doesn't that
negate their Islam or Iman. Yani,
The last part.
it is somehow, that's why I believe personally, I believe that the ideologies of Shia is not Islamic. The basis of this whole entire sect is something totally different than, I don't see much of common ground, except a common ground of both of us, we call ourselves Muslims, and both of us can coexist, can help each other. I deal with them the same way I deal with any person I meet in the street. If he's good to me, I'm good with him. If he's bad to me, I'll just avoid him or just stop him. Yani, that's not how I feel that we should live with each other as we've been existing all these years. And Allah will judge between us on the Day of Judgment. But to say that Shia represent Islam, I believe that's totally wrong. That's totally wrong. That's why I will tell clearly that my answer would be exactly if somebody tell me, what about the Qadianis? The problem with the Shia, that the difference between us go to the principle of the religion, to the source of the religion. And Shia also, inshallah we'll study that in the history of sects, that Shia is so many groups. Some of them are close to Ahl Sunnah. Some of them, they don't believe in that. Some of them, they don't believe that the Imams receive revelation from God. Because there are over 50 different sects. Yeah, so the Shia is a very wide, big sects. Itself divided to so many groups. Some of them, like Al-Ghurabiyya, which is very extreme, almost vanished. There is like a couple of hundred of them in Kuwait living, as far as I know. I don't know any other place. They believe that Ali is God. But Alawis, like Syria, the government of Syria, they believe Ali is God. They believe the thunder is the voice of Ali. That's the Alawi believe. He says, this Shia. The roots of it goes to the Shiism. But the most famous Shia sects today, and the most popular one, is the Imamis, which is Iran, and they are exist in Pakistan and Iraq and Lebanon. And in my opinion, this sect is very extreme too. Very, very extreme. Imamis, like they follow the Imams, yeah, the Ithnay Ashriyah.